Namaste Bharat. I am Srimati Vathsalendra, practicing in the High Courts of Telangana. I am here with you all today, bringing certain important aspects on the rights and liberties of the citizens of India. We are aware that we have certain rights under our constitution, particularly the fundamental rights. We all know normally what is fundamental right, but we are not aware that what all are used and can be challenged before the courts of law. The first right under the constitution, right to equality, is a right where we are all treated as equals. Nobody is above law and nobody is below law. Be it the Prime Minister or a common man of the country, they're all equal and they can avail the opportunities under the constitutional rights. And these rights are normally discussed in the Constitution from Article 12 to 35 of the Constitution, where in a normal course, people never know that right to equality has to be challenged when a common man's right is suppressed and he cannot go to the court of law or seek a remedy. It is permissible under law that he can go before the courts to have his rights to be answered. The second right under the Constitution is freedom. A person cannot be deprived of his freedom of movement, freedom of doing anything that he opts to do except something which is offensive to the state or the country. Now, moving from place to place, or working at a place of choice, or studying at an institution of his choice, or nobody can be confined in a four walls of a house. Such confinement is also losing their liberties or freedom. So all these things again can be questioned before the courts of law to have the right to be having their own freedom. Now, the third right is exploitation. The right against being exploited. Now, on the rampant terms of crimes, we see that the multinational companies, there is lots of sexual exploitation. This is quite common. Apart from which, when we talk, exploitation of a child being exploited for labor. This sort of labor or exploitation against anything that causes damage against mind, body, or a person's life should be addressed immediately. These things should be immediately reported and should be prevented. These are very important in the current days of globalization of multinational companies and requirement of various aspects of being exploited. A housewife can also be exploited of her do's and don'ts, which also comes under the purview of being not to be exploited. Similarly, another very important aspect under the rights of constitution, we talk about religion. Now, religion is one important, very important rather, where everybody has a right to profess their own religion, community, caste and creed, and nobody shall be interfering with each other's religion or the practice of their personal customs and traditions being prescribed under their religion. Nobody shall interfere in each other's prayers or causing disturbances to their religious rights. Now, one religion's comfort should not be another man's discomfort. So, when anybody tries to interfere with your religion, you can approach the courts of law. This also is important to state here that religion is something which by birth you get such religion into your lifestyle. The mother's religion, or at times by birth, an orphan or a person is adopted, the adopted parents shall give their religion to the child. None else shall force a person to take up another person's religion as compulsive situation. This is prohibited under the Constitution, which is currently on high rise, and nobody loses their right of religion which has been conferred on them by birth. Another very important constitutional right is the right to education. When you talk of cultural and educational institutions, every person has a right to study in any government colleges, schools, or any educational institutes, private even. Nobody shall be discriminated by caste, creed, or religion and be deprived of not being educated or even state that they cannot be educated. Now, this also discusses that in certain communities, they are girl child who is deprived of education. This is very wrong. Nobody voices out, and none of the women come out of their houses challenging that they have been deprived of education. People have to be aware that they have constitutional remedies which they can avail, and they do get justice in the courts of law. The very more spoken about right is right to property. Now, right to property is a person accruing a right over his personal acquired properties, be it land, agriculture land, property, movable and immovable. Usually, people interpret that only immovable properties are treated as right to property. Right to property does mean the immovable property also is his right. Now, for example, let me call when I say immovable property, the assets which he accrues by way of accumulating all his lifetime money, he has absolute right to enjoy the same and spend the money as per his own choice, provided when I say this, he has to pay proper tax, which is a different subject, and then all the properties accrued by him shall be for his own purpose and use. In certain cases, when the government or the state claims rights of a person's property, it shall deal with it so under the available laws. So nobody can snatch away or take away another's belonging, property, or his self acquisitions. And when I say all the above rights and terms which are specifically discussed in our Constitution, the constitutional remedies are another fundamental right which bears the ultimate importance, because all the above discussed and stated rights under the Constitution, right from 12 to 35 of the Constitution, shall only be effective when we voice out and challenge the same, for which we have the constitutional remedies available. And I request every citizen of this state to execute and enterprise the same. Namaste.